RX Muscle Australia. Michael Galley here with FitX competitor Sonny Ramkomuth, who is a very good mate of mine, and I've been lucky enough to see his whole prep from day one. Sonny, thanks for joining us. How you feeling, mate?
Yeah, not too bad actually. This is probably the best peak week I've had. Very relaxed. I came down to Melbourne early, so had my feet up during my carb up process, and yeah, enjoyed every minute of it so far.
Yep. Now, Sonny, I've seen you compete a lot over the years, and I actually remember your mum used to come in and buy your supplements for me when I used to work with ASN. So we've seen you come up through the ranks. This is by far the best I've ever seen you, by a long shot. You've changed your prep, how you go about your prep this time. You've brought on Chris Thomas, who's very successful lately with a lot of top athletes. How has Chris influenced you, and how do you think your body's changed with his help?
Well, you're definitely right there. Swapping to Chris has been the best thing I've probably done in my bodybuilding career. He's just changed. He's erased a lot of the stigmas or myths that I thought that kind of surrounded my previous contest preps. In comparison to previous preps, this one has almost seemed effortless. I'm usually the guy that's up there running 45 minutes to an hour a day minimum towards the end of the show for cardio. Opposed to this time, I've done zero cardio. The only cardio I did was in my depletion in the last week. I've definitely hit a better level of conditioning, and I've done it all on higher amounts of food as well. So, yeah, I don't want to say it was effortless, but in comparison to other preps, I've just felt healthier, better. I've had more energy, been more vibrant, less cranky. So
that helps. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we're all a close-knit group of friends up on the Gold Coast. Yourself, Aaron, Logan, we all hang out a lot. Now, the Sundays we normally all get together. We touched on this before with Aaron about cheat meals. Mm-hmm. There was a thread not long ago on Facebook that went off about it. You know, these can't work. What you're doing is wrong. Now, Chris has got you doing a specific way of going about these cheat meals that obviously they work brilliantly for you. And I've sat with you during these meals, and the amount of food that's eaten is unbelievable. When you first started doing this, were you reluctant? Were you a bit nervous, thinking, you know, is this guy crazy? Is this going to work?
Yeah, I think initially I was. With his protocol, they didn't come in immediately, so I saw such dramatic changes from his style of approach initially that I kind of just trusted the process. And I'm glad I did, because ever since that, first 2-week phase with him, the results have been amazing. And yeah, I think anybody that's ever prepped or anybody that's ever dieted, when they think about, a day long or half a day long refeed, binge, eating whatever you want, seems kind of out there, seems impossible to maintain condition throughout prep. But like I said, I just trusted the process, and Chris is a very specific way of doing things. So it's not as straightforward as people might think, as in, just go and eat whatever you want. He's almost very OCD with his methods, and everything's fine-tuned. He's tried it on himself. He's tested it, a million times and perfected it, and then he's worked it into his client base. Yeah, and I think regarding that Facebook post, that's just one of those stigmas around bodybuilding and prep. Everyone has their own way of doing things, and the way I see it, if you can get away and make greater progress using a method like this, you'd be silly not to. Yep. Because you feel better. Whether you want to bring in the side that you have, a mental break during the week as far as eating, I can honestly say this prep wouldn't have gone as well without that Sunday refeed. Yeah.
It was a fun Sunday, I must admit. I enjoyed that as well. I live for those Sundays with you. Now, you're an extremely hardcore trainer in the gym. Your weights are very, very heavy, a lot heavier than most sort of bodybuilders use. What sort of training partners have you had lately? Have you stick to anyone regular, or you've just picked out anyone who's in the gym at the time?
This prep, I haven't really had a solid training partner throughout the entire time. Probably the person I trained with the most within the last 6 weeks when it's been knuckle down time has been Aaron Pilates. I've still also trained with Adam Dowling here and there. He's someone that I've learned a lot from as well. But yeah, I'd say most of the time it's been Aaron, and it's good because not only we sponsored both mass sponsored athletes, but we're both in separate divisions, so we've been egging each other along and keeping each other on track throughout prep, and Yeah, it's been good to have Aaron there throughout this prep, actually.
Yeah, it's a good close group that we've got. Everyone shows good support, which is awesome. Now, you're a pretty hot favourite for this under-90 class. I mean, there's no denying. We've seen all the photos go up on social media. Your conditions on, your shapes there, tiny waist. You're not really lacking anything. Let's fast forward and say you do win this class. That gives you automatic qualification next year to the 212s. Is that your ultimate goal, to get that pro card?
100%, yep. Ever since I did my first show, when I knew nothing about the sport, it was always the goal was always the epitome of looking like those guys in the magazines. And when I started to get more involved in the sport and know pros by name and stuff like that, it was just, it's a dream. Yeah. Definitely want the pro card, and that will be my goal towards 2015 if everything works out this year. And
you'll stick with Chris Thomas as your prep coach?
100%. He's redefined contest prep for me, and I can only assume it's going to be the exact same in the off season as well. So I've got absolutely zero reason to change my coach.
I speak to, obviously I'm good friends with Chris too, and I do speak to him a lot about you, and he's reassured me that your off season coming up is just going to be insane, and he's got a lot of things in place for you there where he's really excited to see how you go. Speaking of the 212s, I'll put you on the spot. Your top three for the 212s coming up, the pro qualifier.
I think that the guy that everyone keeps forgetting about, and Chris and I have spoken about this a few times, I think David Cutler is... People keep forgetting that he got second in the Opens last year, and he's placed runner-up a few times now. He always comes in condition. He's going to be bigger this year, with most likely the same conditioning. And people forget about him because he's not a social media active person. Yeah. So a lot of people don't even actually know him. So he would probably be my number one pick. I haven't seen certain other people condition-wise in the last 6 to 8 weeks. I know there's a lot of hype around Gretschy and, of course, Adam Browner as well. Truth be told, I really don't know what Adam looks like because he always is mega clothed up in the gym. So I won't comment on that. I'd like to say Gary Wright has a really good chance as well, but there was a lot of stigma going around him last year and hype, and didn't really live up to the hype when the show came. So I'd probably say my definite number one pick would be Cutler. I want to say Gretschy because a few friends, Jimmy has said he's on. Yep. And I've seen a few photos of him here and there. And then as far as third, I'd put it between Gary and Adam. Yep.
All right. Now, you do have a few good sponsors that you've picked up along the way, and you do have some more that are coming up. And what I like about you is you're not a lazy bodybuilder at all. You work hard for your sponsors, you promote them, you're out there social media, which is awesome. And you don't sit back like we have seen, unfortunately, a lot of bodybuilders do and think the world owes them everything. Mm-hmm. Any certain people that you want to thank that you've come on board?
Yeah, definitely. I think the newest sponsor I picked up this year was Brick City Villain, which is the clothing brand that I'm wearing now. And I really liked their style of clothing, and they've been nothing but helpful to me so far in promoting me social media wise and keeping me all geared up. So Jason Munster and the boys behind Brick City Villain, definitely want to give a shout out to them. Of course, I can't forget Mass Nutrition, in particular Mass Nutrition Broadbeach and Craig Cassidy. He's backed me since I came off stage in 2012 when Mass sponsored me, and of course he's been a great help in the last off-season and all pre-season with SUPs, just advice, even just helping me network and market for other sponsors and stuff. He's been really good in that department too. I'm also still sponsored by a meal company called Naked Meals. Diet was a little bit different this time, so I didn't use them to as large an extent because they've been closed down on the Queensland side, but definitely been helpful in the off season. And I have another sponsor that's in the works at the moment, but I won't give too much away. I don't think I can say anything yet, but good news hopefully.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that, and that is actually great news if that pulls off. Very, very promising. Mate, not only are you a good friend of mine, but I know the hard work you've put into this. I know how you're looking. So I'll be sitting there at the front really, really pumped up to see you, mate. I hope you really do well, and you've positioned yourself perfectly to pull off a really, really good showing. So all the best. Thanks for coming on. This is rxmuscle.com.au, Michael and Sonny, and we're out.